everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sophia, or you can call me Royal Fox. This is my first video ever for BookTube, and it is my August wrap-up, my September TBR / wrap-up since it's a little bit late, and a little mini book haul for you guys. So just a little bit about me before we get into the video. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'll probably maybe do another video in the future, just like as a little get to know me. I've been reading for a very long time. My very first book that I ever read was The Secrets of Droon. I'll put it up right here. And after I read that, I just never stopped reading. The next big book love that I had as a kid growing up was the Warrior series by Aaron Hunter. It's honestly still a series that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and I'm slowly but surely collecting all of the books because I never finished the series as a kid. I primarily read fantasy, dystopian, and science fiction. But I have been branching more into contemporary romance, which is uncharted territory for me, but I'm really enjoying what I've been reading so far. There have been some duds, but some books that I've actually really loved. I have a lot of YA fantasy books. That's primarily the most books that I have on my bookshelf is YA fantasy and even just regular fantasy as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. I do want to apologize first and foremost if you've seen them running around, the two little white dogs. One of those dogs, that one, is my dog Dr. Seuss, and that one is my mom's dog, Millie. I am house sitting for her while she's away, so that explains the room that I'm in. This used to be my old room. First up, we have The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. This is the final book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and I absolutely loved it. I got into this series, as you can see later in my life, I am the ripe old age of 27. And this was the first year that I ever read Percy Jackson. I'm a Harry Potter fan. I actually read those when I was about 14, so a little bit older than what the books were actually geared towards. Just reading Percy Jackson kind of felt like a little bit of a warm hug. It was just phenomenal. Obviously, I can't go too much into this book, seeing as it is the fifth and final book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, but it was really good. I rated it 5 stars. I love Greek mythology, so that definitely played into the rating, and it wrapped up a lot of loose ends, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that we have that I finished in August is It Ends With Us with Colleen Hoover. I gave this a 3.5. My sister just recently got into reading, and this was one of the very first books that she read and that she absolutely loved, and she wanted me to go watch the movie with her. So my sister let me borrow her copy to read it before the movie. I thought it was all right. I liked it way more than Ugly Love, which I read last year. I won't get into Ugly Love. That book and I have a lot of problems. I liked It Ends With Us to a certain point. I don't think Colleen Hoover's writing is necessarily bad. It's definitely an easy read. I just disagreed with some of the messages in the book, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And if this is your favorite book of all time, by all means, like, have it be your favorite book of all time. I think that it could have done things a little bit differently because naturally this is a story about domestic violence. So I just think some of the messages could have been a little bit clearer. If you're interested in seeing some of my thoughts on that, I do have a story graph. I don't really use Goodreads as much because I do prefer story graph. You can find me on there, the same name, Royal Fox. I'll also link it down in the description for you if you would like to see kind of my thoughts. I'm going to try to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible. I don't like to be spoiled, and I don't like to spoil other people. On to the next book. The next book that I actually finished is a manhwa. I believe it is Korean. It is Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. I thought this was really sweet. The first couple of volumes in this series I did rate about 4.5 stars. I did rate this one a 5-star. The whole story behind this is Raeliana gets isekai'd or transported into the world of her favorite love story. And it's a little bit of a mystery as well because she doesn't get transported into the body of the protagonist. She gets transported into the body of the protagonist's best friend who dies in like the beginning of the book. So the first novel is her essentially trying to escape the fate of Raeliana, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I actually bought these digitally on my Kindle Fire, so that was a really cool new experience for me. Next up, we have Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. This one I listened to on Audible. I listened to Dune, I think I finished it last month, and I loved it. And by last month, I don't mean August, I mean July. I loved Dune. Loved it. Everything I wanted in a sci-fi. It had politics, it had high stakes. It was just incredible. I loved it. Anyway, I rated Dune Messiah a 4. It was considerably shorter than Dune. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was really good. I still really liked it. There was just something about this one that didn't grip me the same way that Dune gripped me. But I still liked it. I gave it a 4-star. I think it's still a great installment in the series. It just wasn't as good as Dune was. And the last book that I finished in August is Trickster's Choice by Tamara Pierce. This is the first book in the Daughter of the Lioness duology. This series is actually part of a bigger series that Tamara Pierce has created in like the universe of Tortall. I never read any of the other books, and this is actually a reread of the series for me. I read the first and second book when I was probably like 14 or 15, so over 10 years ago. But I really enjoyed these books. I did rate this one 5 stars. To give you a little bit of the story centers around Allie. She is the daughter of Alana the Lioness and George the Whisper Man. He's a spy master. Alana the Lioness is like the king's champion. That's where the whole like universe actually starts, is with Alana. Allie is naturally Alana's daughter. Allie wants to be a spy master and be sent on missions for her father. However, since she is only 16, naturally her father isn't really sending her out in the field to do this work because it is dangerous. She decides she wants to go take a trip, and so she takes a little sailboat, and when she's out sailing, she actually gets kidnapped and gets turned into a slave. And then she gets wrapped up in this bet with the god Kiprioth, which is the trickster god. And just, it's really good. It has some political intrigue. It has spy stuff. It's really good. I will say that Allie is a bit of a Mary Sue. I feel like she doesn't really come into a lot of adversity, and she's kind of just good at everything. To be fair, she has been training her whole life as a spy master with her father, so she is going to be good at a lot of things. It's still a 5-star from me, but just know that I'm probably looking at it with a little bit of nostalgia glasses. All right, now we're going to go into my mid-September wrap up for you guys. I have already finished a couple of the books that were on my TBR, but I'll go ahead and just let you know what I've already finished since we're already like into the 3rd week of September. The first book that I finished is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. This is the next series from Percy Jackson. So this follows the Heroes of Olympus series. So we have a different main character, which is Jason, and it goes into different aspects of the Greek gods. It's really good. I rated this one a 5 stars. Jason in the beginning was really kind of just bland and boring, and I wasn't really enjoying his POV. You do get 2 other POVs in this book with Piper and Leo. I absolutely adore Leo. He is my boy. I'm going to protect him at all costs. He's my just so sweet, my darling child, my sweet summer child, Leo. And I will say this one too, even though I did give it 5 stars, since it is a middle grade fantasy, even though the kids are like 15, 16, I feel like it should be YA, but it's in Storygraph, it's put as middle grade, which is interesting. I feel like there should have been some more consequences for some of the things going on that happens in the beginning of the book. Jason doesn't have any memories of who he is. He kind of just wakes up and he's met Piper and Leo, and he has no recollection of who he is, how he got there, and then the story just unfolds. Naturally, with it being about the Greek gods and in the Percy Jackson series, you find out that he is a demigod, and then the story just takes off. I don't like Jason as much as I like Percy, but it was still really good. I enjoyed it. The next book we have is Daydream by Hannah Grace. I absolutely loved this book. This book is about Hallie and Henry. Hallie and Henry end up meeting just out of happenstance when Henry shows up to Hallie's book club, and they kind of hit it off. So he ends up getting tutored by Hallie, and it just is a really beautiful, pure relationship between the two of them that I just adored. I saw a lot of myself and my sister in Hallie, and I saw a lot of myself in Henry, and just him and how he handled his situations being neurodivergent. I feel like the romance was a bit of a slow burn. It was really that friends to lovers kind of aspect, and I loved it. This was just fantastic. This is the 3rd book in the Maple Hill series. Icebreaker is the first one with Anastasia and Nate, and Wildfire is the 2nd book with Russ and Aurora. I haven't read either of those ones yet. I started with Daydream because it was actually Destiny Sidwell's Discord Book of the Month pick. The next 2 books that I finished for September is actually manga. It is volume 1 and 2 of Oshinoko. I really enjoyed these ones. The art is stunning and the story's pretty good. I gave them a 4 and a 4.25. There's a couple of things in the first one. It's in like a lot of animes and mangas, and it's just not very good. Here's just a little bit from Storygraph of what Oshinoko is about. Goro is an OBGYN with a life far removed from the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry, the world of his favorite idol, rising star Ai Hoshino. But when the two are unexpectedly brought together, their fates become intertwined in ways that defy all reason. For the good doctor, it's time to stand and deliver. It really doesn't give you a lot of information, but that is really where you should start. And I recommend not looking up spoilers. I was spoiled for it. So I think the first one I would have rated a lot higher if I didn't know what was happening or what was going to happen. So don't look it up. Don't spoil yourself. If you are interested in it and you like beautiful artwork and a good story, I recommend it. Oshinoko. The next book that I read is actually a screenplay. It's 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose and Sherman L. Sergel. I really enjoyed this one. I actually watched the movie a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed the movie. It's about these 12 jurors that just come into the jury room, or the deliberation room, I should say, after they are listening to this young boy's trial. I believe he's the age of like 16. He's on trial for capital murder. And if they convict him, this kid is going to be put to death by the electric chair. It's a really good movie. It's in black and white. It was produced in 1957. I think they made a newer movie, but I watched the one in 1957. Since it's the screenplay, it just made me feel like I was watching the movie again. I rated it a 4. I really enjoyed it, listening to everybody's sides of as they one by one decide if this 16-year-old is actually guilty or not based on the evidence that was provided during the trial. Is just, it's great. It's really good. And it's only 96 pages long. So if you guys are interested, if the premise sounds interesting, I'd pick it up. I picked it up on Kindle. It's a really fast read if you like screenplays. And the next thing that I finished in my September TBR is Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. This is also the audiobook. This is the 3rd book in the series. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it was good. I liked it more than the 2nd book, but still less than the 1st book. There were a couple of things towards the middle and the end that gave me the ick a little bit when it happened. I was like, oh. Again, you can look on Storygraph and kind of see my thoughts on it, but I just kind of write a little snippets of what my thoughts are when I read and write books. Sometimes I don't do it all the time. Now we're going to go into a little bit of the rest of my September TBR. As you can see, the book that I just put back here, I am currently reading Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This story is centered around a nameless protagonist that's struggling with insomnia, and he can only find relief by going to these clubs for people that are terminally ill. It's pretty good so far. I don't know if I really jive with Chuck Palahniuk's writing. I also got this book pre-owned a long time ago, and it's the movie cover. Ew, I hate movie covers. So far, it's okay. I think I'm rating it. I think right now, with how I feel about it, the rating would be about a 3.75, but we'll see. I am enjoying it. The writing is just a little hard to get into. I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to get that finished. Fight Club is actually part of a reading challenge that I am participating in on Storygraph. It is the Ferrero Rocher Chocolate Reading Challenge. There are 4 prompts in this reading challenge, and I picked Fight Club. Also in an attempt to get through my TBR, because I have had Fight Club on my TBR for a very, very long time. I've owned that book for quite a while. So that one I picked out for the Cozy Fall Night, which is the only mandatory prompt. So the whole challenge name is the Ferrero Rocher Reading is a Treat Challenge. And the prompts are based off of like chocolates. It's pretty cute. So this one is curl up with a book that's perfect for crisp autumn evenings when the air is filled with the scent of falling leaves and you're wrapped in the warmth of a compelling read. These stories are meant to be savored like a chocolate bar, preferably by a roaring fire. Very cute, right? How cute is that? And then there are 3 bonus prompts, and this goes into the rest of like my September TBR because this challenge ends October 3rd, so I want to have these done before October 3rd, naturally. The next one is the Sweet Romance prompt, which I picked Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I haven't read any Ali Hazelwood books. She is kind of a new genre for me to read, being that she writes like women in STEM contemporary romances. So I'm sure you guys already know the premise behind Love Theoretically. Just to give you a little snapshot of it, many lives of theoretical physicist Elsie Hanaway have finally caught up with her. By day, she's an adjunct professor toiling away at grading labs and teaching thermodynamics in the hopes of landing tenure. By other day, Elsie makes up for her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend. I love that, by the way. Absolutely love the fake girlfriend trope. Like Rent a Girlfriend, the manga and the anime, amazing. Love it. I love that. Jack Smith, the annoyingly attractive, arrogant older brother of her favorite client, turns out to be the cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere. So this is definitely a workplace rivals to lovers situation, and I adore that. Hot take, I don't think that contemporary romance can have enemies to lovers. To each his own. I personally just think that contemporary romance is rival or hate to love. versus enemy. That's just me. It doesn't really matter. No, those are just my thoughts. But I'm really excited to get into that one. It sounds super good. I know I'm going to love it. I'm just going to love it. And then the next prompt is rich classic literature, which is actually what I assigned 12 Angry Men to. So that one is complete because of the mandatory prompt being Cozy Fall Night. So I just need to finish reading Fight Club back there, and will have technically finished the challenge, just minus my bonuses. Then the last and final bonus we have is Delightful Bestseller. And for that one, I picked I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead by Jeanette McCurdy. I watched a lot of Nickelodeon growing up. I didn't watch a lot of iCarly or really too much of anything that Jeanette McCurdy was in, but I really want to read her story and just see everything from her perspective, kind of delve into her mind. And now just the final books that I have for my September TBR. I am in the process of reading Trickster's Queen by Tamara Pierce. That is the second book in the Daughter of the Lioness series, the first being Trickster's Choice. I'm about, I want to say 30% into this one. Still really good. I love this series. I recommend it to anybody that likes fantasy young adult novels. And then I am in the middle of listening to God Emperor of Dune. This is the fourth book in the Dune series by Frank Herbert, and I'm really liking this. I'm interested to see how it goes. I did accidentally spoil myself when I was looking up how to spell like some of the names from the third book, which was really annoying. So I know kind of a big thing that's happening in this book, which I'm upset about, but what can you do? The next book that I'm actually reading is a manga. It's Manga Classics Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice is my favorite of all time Jane Austen novels, and right after that one is Emma. So far this is super cute. I'm really liking the manga version of this. I could just eat up Pride and Prejudice in any shape or form, any format, really. Just amazing. I love it. And then the last one on my September TBR is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I actually started this book in February of this year, kind of just reading it off and on. I got about 20% into the book, and I didn't stop for any particular reason. I just sat it down and I just started reading other things. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It is very political. Just to give you a little overview for this book. So Jade is the lifeblood of the island of Kakan. It has been mined, traded, stolen, and killed for, and for centuries, honorable greenbone warriors like the Call family have used it to enhance their magical abilities to defend the land and foreign invasion. Now the war is over, and a new generation of Calls vies for control of Kakan's bustling capital city. They care about nothing but protecting their own, cornering the jade market, and defending the districts under their protection. Ancient tradition has little place in this rapidly changing nation. This is super political, and it's really good. I really loved everything that I had. I really like that the jade is essentially what gives these people their magic and their abilities. It's just really cool. It's really good. Like I said, I didn't stop it for any particular bad reason. I started reading other things because that's what I wanted to read at the time. I don't know if I'm going to finish it before the end of September. If not, it's going to be the first thing up next for my October TBR. Next up's just a little mini book haul. I have 5 books to share with you guys. My sister and I went to Target and they had a sale, so of course we picked some stuff up. So the first book that I picked up is Wild Love, and the second book that I picked up is Wild Eyes, both by Elsie Silver. Now this is the first and second book in the Rose Hill series. I haven't read a single Elsie Silver book. So both of these books, I believe, follow the single dad trope, which I haven't read a lot of the single dad trope, so I hope I like it, seeing as I already bought 2 of the books. On the back here, it says that Ford Grant is the world's hottest billionaire, and then all of a sudden there is a young girl who pops up on his doorstep and claims that he is her biological father, and so now he's thrown into this world of being a father and not really knowing how to take care of this kid. And then he is trying to keep his mitts off of his best friend's little sister, Rosie Belmont. And then that is how they develop their relationship. Why the hell are these spines different? Who made this decision? I just threw them on the ground. That's how angry I am. The next book that we have is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. My sister actually recommended this one to me because she picked up a copy for herself, and I was so jealous. I was like, oh my gosh, that book is so beautiful and it sounds so good. It's a story about a librarian, and she has a sentient spider plant that she talks to, and for some reason or another, the library that she's at mysteriously burns down, so she has to collect all of the spell tomes, as many as she can, and escape, and then go back to essentially her home island. I heard it was super cozy. It's a fantasy romance, and it's so pretty. This is such a beautiful shade of purple. I love it. Next up, we have Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf. Now, this is really cool, and it has some beautiful sprayed edges. Just look at those. Stunning. So this is actually a science fiction romance, if I'm not mistaken. So it says here that the Duke of the powerful House Hauteclair is the first to die with my dagger in his back. He didn't see it coming, didn't anticipate the bastard daughter who was supposed to die with her mother on his order. He should have left us with the rest of the station's starving commoner rubbish. Now there's nothing left. Just icy white rage and a need to make House Hauteclair pay. Every damn one of them. Even if it means riding Heavenbreaker, one of the few enormous machines left over from the war, and jousting against the fiercest nobles in the system. Now that just sounds amazing. I love a good sci-fi, and it's beautiful too. I'm a sucker for a beautiful book. Like, gorgeous. Can y'all see that? Like, beautiful. That must be Heavenbreaker right there. I am so excited to read this. I It looks so good and it sounds so good. Next up, we have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. Now, this is a Norse-based book, which I'm really interested in reading about because I do love Norse mythology. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this one. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I've seen it everywhere, but once I picked it up and actually read the Dust Jacket, I was like, this sounds amazing, and I gotta read it. It sounds right up my alley. So it says, bound in an unwanted marriage, Freya spends her days gutting fish, but dreams of becoming a warrior and of putting an axe in her boorish husband's back. Freya's dreams abruptly become reality when her husband betrays her to the region's Jarl, landing her in a fight to the death against his son, Bjorn. To survive, Freya is forced to reveal her deepest secret. She possesses a drop of a goddess's blood, which makes her a shield maiden with magic capable of repelling any attack. And it's been foretold that such magic will unite the fractured nation of Skaland, hope I said that right, beneath the one who controls the shield maiden's fate. Believing he's destined to rule Skaland as king, the fanatical Jarl binds Freya with a blood oath and orders Bjorn to protect her from their enemies. I'm just really excited to read this one. Beautiful cover, like just stunning. Now that is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, all of that fun YouTube stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!